Hello MES artists! Today we are going to be talking about drawing your tropical fish project. Whenever we start with this, we are going to talk about using simple shapes to create your fish. So things like circles and triangles and how those can be turned into nice flowy shapes to make our fish look nice and tropical in our ocean. We are going to talk about adding nice patterns and color to our fish and using our ocean floor here and our seaweed to create space and depth to our scene. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to start with a body. Now you can use, if you just want to draw this freehand, or if you want to start with a more perfect circle, you can. And this is called using a template or a stencil. So I'm going to just trace this roll of tape here. It was kind of just what I had around, but you could use a bowl, a plate, Clorox wet container, a lid of something is always easy. So anything that you can find. So I'm going to start with a circle here, and then for my tail, I'm going to add on a triangle. And you want to make sure that whenever we're drawing this, that we're drawing very lightly so that we can erase whatever we might need to at the end after we kind of clean up our shapes here. So I'm going to connect this triangle, because imagine if we had this here, our tip of our triangle, it's going to go behind our fish's body, so we don't need that there. So I just drew part of it. So it's almost a little more like a trapezoid shape. Now I'm going to kind of smooth out the way that this triangle connects to our body here. So I'm going to do something like that, and then I'm also going to curve and round my tail a little bit so it kind of looks a little flowier and more tropical in my water. So we might have, let's erase this part, something like this. So we're just kind of using our triangle as more of a guide. From here, we can add our fins and tails. So I like to just do kind of this wavy line on the top there. If you want to make yours more zigzagged, you can do that. But anything that we're doing here, you can always change up and make your own. Now I like to add little kissy fish lips onto mine. If you are not into that, that is okay. But I like to draw just a big heart here on the end of my circle, and that will create your lips. And then you can erase this little part here. You can kind of add that line there to make it look like your fish's lips are parted. From here, it is kind of nice to smooth this out a little bit rather than just having them attached to your circle there. So I like to give that a little bit of a curve so it's a nicer meeting point. The next thing you can do is add your eyes. Now you can simplify this by just making a circle inside of a circle inside of a circle. You can add eyelashes, you can add glasses, whatever you can think of to making your fish unique, you absolutely can go for it. From here, I like to talk about adding scales. So I like to usually divide this area here with kind of like a bubbly, bumpy, U or W shape. And then I also like to do the same thing to my tail area. So it's not, this perfectly straight across line. You can make rows of scales underneath this. Kind of continue this on like they're overlapping. Or if you want to make them kind of connect to the row above it, could do something like that. Let's see, we'll go here. So I like to say kind of where it goes up, that's where you'll add another U-shaped scale in there. So you can fill in your rows that way if you want them to be a little more overlapped. Up to you. So you can continue those as you please. The cool thing about these fish is that they are very unique. So if you do not want fish scales, maybe you want your fish body to have polka dots on it or stripes. There's plenty of examples that we have included in the slideshow in your Google Classroom that might help you if you want to change it up a little bit, because we like whenever you use your imagination and get creative with your artwork. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some lines to my tail just so that it isn't left as this big open space. So I always like to add these in just because I think it makes the tail look a little flowier. And then you can use your eraser to kind of clean up some of these areas where maybe your original shape lines are still showing. So we've just used simple shapes to create these wavier spaces and a little nicer look. So that would be my fish. I kind of forgot. I could probably add another little fin on here on the side so he could swim a little easier. So if you want to add that in, you can. But again, this fish is your imagination, so you can get as creative as you would like. Now, after this, you can work on adding your background. And whenever we add seaweed to our background, that's going to help us create our space and depth to our picture so that we don't have just kind of one plain flat surface. So I'm going to just kind of loop in some seaweed here really fast, just kind of sketch this in. I just did this on copy paper, and I probably would have made my fish a little bit smaller so I could have more of my ocean floor in here, but that's okay. We'll just draw it and make him look really, really big. So I'm just going to add some sand line there. Your seaweed, I like to do just kind of like a wiggly line up and a wiggly line down. And normally whenever we draw our seaweed, we color it with crayon and we paint the background with liquid watercolor so it creates this crayon resist, and it will kind of add just another little material and dimension to our picture. So to create the depth to our scene, like it goes back a little farther, you're going to draw your seaweed like it goes behind your fish. So we can have a piece there. Maybe we'll even have a piece that goes in front of our fish, like he's swimming through the seaweed. So you can erase the parts of your fish body that seaweed is going to cover, and that is going to add a little bit of that overlapping space element to our picture. So you could add seaweeds that are kind of just bigger pieces like that. You could get a little more creative with your seaweed if you want to, make some nicer leafier pieces. This is your artwork, so get as creative as you would like. Now I'm not going to go too far with the coloring of things since I have a nice finished example here, but it is going to be up to you with what you would like to use to finish up your fish. So normally we will outline it with Sharpie, we'll use markers to color it, kind of consider the colors of markers that you're going to be using, kind of think of colors that might go nicely together. There's plenty of examples for you to look at in the slideshow in your Google Classroom. And then we normally use liquid watercolor and crayons for the background, but I'm going to just leave it up to you. So kind of use whatever you have available at your house. This is your chance to, be creative if you want to add a little more, or just keep everything with marker. But whatever you do, have fun, be brave, be bold, and use your imagination.